the October 13th Town Brunswick Town Board meeting. And at this point, I'd like to ask you to please rise.
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this point, I'll open it right up. We have any visitors who wish to speak. We got a lot of visitors tonight, so I'm guessing somebody might want to speak. One at a time.
You can do this as a group.
Jim, how are you? Gotta have your name and address, because you don't want anything for Bill.
Yep.
Jim Murray, 126 McChesney Avenue, Brunswick. So I live 4 houses in on McChesney off of Hoosick. And sometimes when I pull out of my driveway, since our new light has been installed at Board and Hoosick, I come to a stop. Because everybody else has stopped trying to make a left. So the new light is a problem. I understand it has to be there. And I guess my question is, where in the future do you see somebody raising their hand and say, it's too crazy? Where do we stop? Have you ever thought about that?
And we live here too.
Yeah, you live 5 miles out. Is
One thing
does anybody on the board live?
One thing I've learned a long time ago, it's always good when we're in the town of Brunswick. I see these crazy activities on TV where everybody calling names and yelling and screaming. So let's keep it friendly. I live a long ways, 5 miles.
I'm being friendly.
No, all I'm saying is, we do travel it. The new traffic light, I got people saying to me, for once, and I'm not saying anything about the traffic, for once I can get out of the car wash. There's a little bit of a pause there, that's never happened before. I had like 5 people tell me that part of it. Jim, what we've done before, and you've been involved for a long time, we've told these developers, and when Hannaford came, we said to them, we don't think it's gonna work because the Route 7's got a problem, a situation, and you've heard this before. Don't think Route 7 can handle the traffic. And they came in with a piece of paper from the state, Hannaford, saying, if you put this light up, go ahead, everything's okay. The state owned Route 7.
So can any,
It's a challenge.
yeah, it's a challenge. Is there anybody?
Okay,
any
go ahead and
board-
talk, I won't yell at you again.
Is there any board or is there any, in the comprehensive plan?
Yeah.
Is there anything that says, okay, when the traffic reaches this point on Hoosick Street, we gotta stop? Can the board, you put a moratorium on multi-family dwellings. Can you do that with new businesses? Other towns have.
Well, you do understand, this won't probably mean much to you either, but you do understand that we applied for and we have received the grant, the highest amount awarded, because they do understand Route 7 is a problem. From CDTC to do the Hoosick Road corridor study. Now, what's happening with that is the proposals went out. Okay, and tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, there's a Zoom call with myself and a few other to review the bids. So those bids are gonna get awarded soon, and we're gonna have a consultant on board. And part of that whole study is to study what's going on there. And what the town agreed was, let's get some consultants in there, take a look at that thing, Route 7, see what they say. You know, I'm hearing coordinated lights, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. Let them stop, let's get a professional in there instead of just saying, whoa, 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 don't stop, whoa, no. Let's get somebody in there and let's get some facts, and it's from the state, a state road, they've agreed to coordinate or work with us, we've agreed. So I wanna do that and see what they come up with. I don't know what they're gonna come up with. Maybe they're gonna come up with, and they mention that, whoa, you got enough businesses here, you know, maybe you better do something. But we gotta go through that, Jim, we gotta go through the study first. I mean, okay, go
But
ahead.
is there a point in time where you would say, as a board, as a town, hey, it's gone too far. In my opinion, it's gone way too far.
Right.
Okay, and I don't think you'll get much disagreement, as much as some people like,
I got people in the other part of town saying, I love Hannaford. Price Chopper got crazy in their prices. When Walmart started with the groceries, the prices came down, but that didn't last very long. Thank you for putting in the Hannaford. This is people from the town of Brunswick, not in where you live. I understand that. But we're serving the whole town,
I
you know?
understand.
And I've got all these seniors saying, when's Audie's coming? When's Audie's coming?
They
You
won't
know?
be able to get there.
I'm just saying, we are the town of Brunswick. I mean, I understand there's a situation there.
So
But-
in the comprehensive plan, or in your planning, have you said, when traffic comes to a stop, we'll stop? Is there anything that you can foresee down the road where you'd say, it's gone too far?
This is what the study's gonna do. I go down there, you know, it seems like times when you go down the road, it doesn't seem quite so bad. The traffic.
Not anymore.
Okay,
Not anymore.
okay. Bad enough times.
You try to make a left from McChesney to Route 7 currently, anytime between probably 1 and 5. There's a better even chance you're gonna have the gridlock that's occurring at North Lake and Hoosick at the same time. People are sneaking out, and they try to sneak out because people going east-west are not stopping.
Churchill called me up. I don't know if he's here tonight, I don't even know him yet. The writer, as you know, did the piece on Route 7. And he said the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of traffic. I've talked to people in Sipaway. They're unhappy. When I get done with him, you know what he says to me? I said, where do you live? He says, Manans area. I shop up in Latham, but to be honest with you, I'll probably come to Brunswick to shop. He just got done saying the traffic was crazy, and he's coming, you know.
He's crazy.
I'm just telling
All
you.
right, and I'll move on, because I know you don't have an answer. I understand tomorrow you're gonna have a thing, but you don't have an answer, and I know that going in.
Jim, I've known you a long time, and, you know, you can say I'm dumb, I don't have answers, I don't care, I live on a farm. You've been saying that for how many years?
I have never said that.
Oh, come on, Jim, come on.
I've never called you dumb.
But it should not be personal, we should be trying to solve the town problem here, you know?
That's why I'm here.
And when you came and said, I can't build on my house because of new zoning, we're gonna try to help you. I mean, when you called me, I've tried to help. Go ahead, the second part. Where I had to call you back.
That particular thing was 3 years ago.
How many years ago? 3 years ago, yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Still on Hoosick Street, the temporary signs, the mattress store is the biggest, seems to be the biggest culprit, but also Hannaford, many of the other ones. I don't think that's allowed by code, is it?
Hi, Chuck Olin.
Go ahead.
Brunswick Building Department.
Wait a minute, grab that microphone.
On Tuesday morning, I went and collected the Metro mattress signs. This is the second time I've done this to an individual. The signage, we normally let grand opening signs stay for 30 days. Harbor Freight's gonna come down. It's gonna be closed for KFC pretty soon, and then Hannaford left. So,
Thank you. Answer that one. Last one.
Yeah.
The bus stop.
Yeah.
I offered the town through Tracy, I'll buy a garbage can. Will you guys empty it?
Put all the garbage there?
Yeah, nobody's picking it up. Other CDTA bus stops have garbage cans. Mr. Polito, I understood from you, was gonna do some work on that. That was a year and a half ago.
Nah, that wasn't that long. It wasn't that long.
It's not.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Go ahead,
last
Jim.
meeting
Go
we
ahead.
talked about that.
We are so bad up here. Go ahead, my friend. You hated Walmart. You didn't want nothing to do with
I
Walmart.
still don't.
And what did you say? There's garbage, and what did Walmart? They're probably one of the best neighbors in terms of picking up your garbage and stuff.
Do you know why?
No, something you must have done, not the town board asked them to.
Something
Why,
I
Jim?
did.
Huh?
Something I did.
I thought probably, but then,
Okay.
what did you do? Maybe we can figure this out.
You just keep calling high enough, and you get
Right.
somebody to do it.
we just stopped and talked to the manager in there, and I said, you should be part of the Brunswick family, and they've been good. Usually when you get higher with these big companies, they all listen. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Your lawn looks nice. It's nice and clean.
I guess that's it. So if you want a garbage can, I'll gladly buy one. I'll ask the town to dump it.
Has the state got any responsibility for that road? I mean, you want us to pick up, which we can pick up the garbage, but it's the state road. You gotta remember that too, yeah?
It's within the town.
Within the town.
We don't plow that road, we don't maintain that road.
To maintain that sidewalk.
Not by choice, but we got blessed with that,
I understand.
all right? But we do, but the rest of the road is not our problem. The rest of the road belongs to New York State, and you know that. Now, let me ask you a question.
If you buy a garbage can, make it look, you know, nice.
Never mind the garbage. You're standing here in front of us. What would your plan be to solve the existing problem today? How would you fix it?
Which one are we talking about?
The traffic on Route 7, which is the main reason why many of you here, people are here tonight. Now, I would like to have one of you guys come up and say, you know, I have an idea on how we can fix the existing problem today. Do you have a fix for this road?
Well, I have it from getting worse. I would say stop putting more
Well,
businesses.
I said existing problem today.
Yeah, I do.
How would you fix the existing problem that we have now in the town of Brunswick with New York State Highway Route 7? What would your plan be?
Something other than we're doing currently.
Well, that doesn't answer my problem.
Doesn't answer my problem.
Exactly. And that's the quagmire we're in, isn't it? How do we fix it? You guys come to us and you blame us
Wait,
for
you guys,
this.
I'm here.
There's many of you here that are here for the
You
same
haven't heard
issue.
anybody else?
All right, I'll just talk to you. You're here, you brought this forward to us. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to solve a problem. And you are not happy with it, and many people are not. However, I hear all the complaints about it, but I never once have someone come and say, I have a plan. And don't say, don't add any more in, we get that. I want to know a plan on how to solve our existing problems. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
All right, want to hear my stupid plan?
Yes.
Okay, because my wife and kid told me it's crazy. So in Washington DC, when you drive, I forget what road it is, in the morning, it's 4 lanes that way.
Connecticut Avenue.
Connecticut Avenue. In the evening, it's 4 lanes that way. Okay, so I know it's not gonna happen, but I tried to convince them.
Well,
2 lanes this way in the morning, 2 lanes that way in the afternoon. And I know I get the whole turning lane, but that's my solution. You wanted one? There it is.
well, it is. You know, that's something.
And that might come up in the study.
You know, we don't know that won't come up in the study, but
Part of it, make it over to people, part of this study that we're doing, the Hudson Road, Hoosick Road, quarter study, there's gonna be a public hearing with these experts, so I know you're all gonna be there, but, I mean, at least we should have somebody look at it, see if there's any answer. You know, I'm still not convinced, I know. My wife and myself went to Bennington, Saturday, you know, the traffic was backed up all the way up through there on the way out of Bennington, going down into Bennington, Hoosick, I mean, all the leaf keepers. And, you know, Troy's, I talked to them and they said, just stop everything in Brunswick and we'll do all the building in Troy. You know, I said, we already did a hotel, you know, you already did doctor's offices. So I don't know if the answer is just to stop, maybe it is stop everything and then put everything down there, because they're gonna have more people coming down through. I am convinced that there's a challenge with these lights out there, people, with the timing of the lights. Because every once in a while, this light on 142, it changes, like on the weekend. And we put a call in higher up, like you mentioned, the state, but that doesn't seem to work for me. So we went to the local garage up here and talked to people in charge of the state. And they put a call in, came down and changed something, and it seemed to get better. So I'm not sure whether these lights are 100% either, you know.
All right, thank you for your time.
Yep. Anybody else at this point? Come on up.
How are you?
Thank you, that's good.
My name is Heather Emery.
Want to just turn that mic a little bit, so.
Heather? Okay. My name is Heather Emery. I live at 6 Y Street, and you guys guessed, I'm here for a very similar concern as Jim's. I've lived in the Genesee Street neighborhood for nearly 40 years, and there are a lot of neighbors here that support our neighborhood tonight. You know, we're a very community-based neighborhood. We walk, we bike, we hang out with our kids outside, we have pets. And over the past few years, the traffic, and again, I don't have an answer, but just know that some people
We're not gonna
behind
ask
me
you for
have
an
wonderful suggestions, but the traffic volume, the speed, and the overall disregard for driver safety has made taking a simple walk in our neighborhood a really stressful event. In discussing our concerns with each other, we learned we weren't alone. We've heard so many stories over the past month or so from others who are equally as concerned about the traffic and for their safety. Additionally, the introduction of the volume of traffic has brought an increase of garbage into our neighborhood as well. As a united neighborhood, we wanted to present you with a petition. In a neighborhood with under 150 houses, we've collected 120 signatures of people who live here that state and believe our neighborhood has become a cut-through for vehicles to access Hoosick Road. We believe this has significantly increased with the opening of the new Hannaford store. So here are just some brief examples of our concerns. The most prominent concern is the speed limit signs. They're not being adhered to. Keep in mind that people are using our neighborhood as a cut-through because they have someplace they want to be. So they're in a hurry. And additionally, if you're already stuck in the traffic on Hoosick Street to get to Hoosick Road, your GPS system will redirect you. It'll redirect you up through Freer Park, which leads up into our Genesee Street neighborhood. Often as pedestrians, we have to utilize our neighbors' lawns in an effort to avoid and sometimes dodge the traffic. This could become increasingly difficult with the winter months ahead. We have school bus safety concerns, specifically at the intersections where motorists are disregarding the traffic signs, specifically stop signs. And our roads become one lane when there's another car parked on the street. Again, posing a concern for us for safety, walking, cycling, and for other drivers, especially if they're not familiar with their neighborhood and they're coming up one of our main arteries and there is a car parked on the side, we've seen quite a few near misses. Our neighborhood wasn't designed to accommodate the large commercial trucks that are going through it, and we are now seeing incidents of road rage from frustrated drivers and an increase of property theft. So we respectfully ask you to review the following items that we will hand off to you, in which we as taxpayers have agreed would be valid solutions. I think our ask is pretty simple. We're just asking for your help to make our neighborhood safe again. We don't want to escalate our concerns, and most importantly, we really don't want someone to get hurt or killed because our concerns were not addressed. Again, I've lived in the neighborhood 40 years. I have such fond memories of visiting the farm as a child when it was working, and just of the great camaraderie, as many folks here will agree with me as well. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to hand this off to you, and I know that there are others, and for the sake of time, that want to speak about specific concerns, and some have some solutions they would like to propose to you as well. So
Thank you.
thank you. To you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Didn't we just have that?
we'll see what's on everybody's mind, and I can address a few things, so.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that we all should have a chance to be able to speak. And we're being videotaped because it seems like this is a lot of aggression and we want to keep this very friendly. As you said, we are all neighbors. We're all in this together.
Thank you, that's what we're trying.
And 100%.
The last lady was excellent, thank
She
you.
was. So he's a gentleman too. And,
I've known this gentleman for a long time, we get along.
Okay. For the sake of time, because I know that everyone else would like to speak to, Christy Fraunhofer, 72 Oneida. I'm gonna just kind of go through my notes real quick, not to reiterate things, but it has become, walking and living in our neighborhood has become unbearable since the light and Hannaford have gone in. We spend most of our walk with our children and our dogs in the bushes or on somebody's lawn, and they're like, please get your dogs off of our lawn, and we are very glad to as soon as the speeding cars go by. And there's just no room for pedestrians. It's just gonna get worse when the snow comes. And our main concern is we have children that wait for the school bus in the morning and get off and walk home. And there's not a safe place for them to do that. I have middle school and high schooler. They should for sure be able to navigate our neighborhood, but that's not the case. They're getting run off the road and they're kids. And people are running through the stop sign. So that's really scary. I've called the transportation department at the school. This is Troy Schools. And they understand that there's a serious problem in our neighborhood, but they are unable to change the bus stops due to the time that they have to get the kids to school because of the School 18 capital project. They have buses that are going out to School 12. They don't have the luxury of time, but they realize that it's not safe for our kids. So that's a major concern. Like Heather says, we've been talking to our neighbors in the past few weeks, and some of the neighbors can't be here tonight. So I have just a couple notes of things that they've asked me to share with you. How this has affected their lives, not only as a safety issue. One neighbor has, this is a grown gentleman, stopped riding his bike through the neighborhood for exercise, and he used to go all around all the time because of the volume and speed of the driver. And in his words, he would be a car hood ornament if he kept up his biking. And this is a grown man who is, tuned to the traffic. Wires are down on Oneida and Norfolk from a truck that's too tall that came through. Neighbors are having near misses, getting hit, almost backing out of their driveways because they look and there's no cars there, and then they go and there's a car that comes speeding around the corner or somewhere like that. Neighbors are having things stolen off of their yards and garbage thrown on them. One of the neighbors told me she will not let her children, who are middle-aged children, play in their yard, in the front yard anymore because she can see the cars going and doesn't feel safe anymore. One neighbor was shouted at after he told someone to slow down, to go back to his own country, and he was born here. So we are getting verbally abused, but this is a problem. We've become a neighborhood of vigilantes. No one is patrolling our neighborhood. Nobody else is helping us. We don't want to be like this. I don't want to come home from a walk and have my blood boil watching 5 cars zip through a stop sign and not even stop. Or people yell at me because I'm getting off the road and maybe I give somebody a dirty look because I am trying to negotiate 2 dogs and 2 kids and myself, and I don't want to get run off the road for the 50th time going around the neighborhood. We just ask that people obey the traffic laws and respect our neighborhood. We have neighbors that are now resorting to throwing things in the road because they want the cars to slow down. And they are putting obstacles in the road so that cars have to go around them and slow down. This is getting obviously out of control. We want a neighborhood that's safe and that we can enjoy our neighbors. And then now that I have complained, I do have an ask to the town, which is probably poor timing. We as our neighborhood, has to do with this, had a annual Halloween parade, and it's the Saturday that is before Halloween. We have between 150 and 200 people that come. Their kids, their parents, they bring dogs and everything. We need the neighborhood for 1 hour that day. We go around the neighborhood, the outside of the Genesee and around, and the neighbors love it. They decorate their houses. We have a contest. We give prizes. We are a really cool neighborhood. Like, we're tight, and this is the kind of people that we are. So we want to keep it this way.
A lot of that's the fire companies, went out and parked there, which I commend them. Brunswick One has always went out in the neighborhood, and I've asked other ones, but that drew a lot of people, and fortunately, unfortunately, they come from all over the place, but you get thousands of kids down there at night. Cause I go every,
Yeah.
They're there in the evening.
I don't take any candy, but I do stop.
We stop by
People
and
fire.
they're lovely and we always thank them and we appreciate it. But we need some ideas because we are out of them, and obviously we're getting to be vigilantes. We need the neighborhood safe for 1 hour, so kids can go back and forth to the houses who set up all these displays, and kids get candy, and there's music playing. It's a really awesome event for the kids. And this year, School 18, I'm not sure if they're having a parade, because they're down at School 12, so we have even probably a bigger crowd. I mean, we have a neighbor who's beverages, and we have beverages for the kids. It's a big deal, and we would welcome any suggestions or help that we could get for 1 hour on Saturday before Halloween. So if there's anything you can think of, we would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Now, to mention people not being nice, my highway superintendent is right here. He was down there the other day on North Lake, putting a strip, if you notice, which I'll get to. I asked him, because I've seen them before, these reflective strips that goes on stop signs and stuff. So I asked the highway superintendent, get in that neighborhood and put a strip on every single stop sign for reflection. He was out on North Lake, right, Mike? And some guy said, "Get out of there, you idiot," and started swearing at him, and he had a town truck with a light on. So how do I police stupidity and lack of respect on people? I come here on Wednesday night sometimes, do bookwork, they come in, and I heard one guy the other night swearing at the judge. What? I don't know what's going on. So when you say people are crazy, I can believe that, but it's not just in that neighborhood. There's no respect, and I don't know how to solve that. And the judge can't get mad, he can't put bail on him, because things are out of control. I feel bad about all this stuff, so I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Hi, Van Fraunhofer. I live at 7209 Ave in the same neighborhood. So pretty much most of the things that I was going to talk about, we've heard about. I have a couple of questions. The city of Troy actually has recognized the problem that we have because it's actually bled all the way down into the city of Troy. They had a city council meeting and they decided that because they were getting complaints of the side roads in the neighborhoods off of Route 7 in the city of Troy, they're going to lower the speed limit in all those neighborhoods to 25. Is it possible for us to do that in our neighborhoods, like both north and south of Hoosick and the Sycamore neighborhoods?
Aren't you 25 in there now?
I know we do have one sign.
No, yeah. Mike, how many 25 you got there?
I just put all.
Oh, you did? Okay, great, wonderful.
They're 25 old, or
That's great.
we'll talk.
Right, no, that's great. Well, I do have some good news. I haven't been assaulted in my neighborhood since the last time. Right?
Amazing.
I was pretty glad about that. But that's some good news. Oh, I also like to thank the town for doing the hazardous waste pickup. Thank you for doing that and making sure that the residents got into it. Because there's 4 other municipalities that are doing it. And I called to make an appointment and they said, there's no more appointments. And then the lady called me right back and said, oh, the town said you can come. So thank you for that.
That was something that was asked for a while and, quite expensive, but the county, Mr. McLaughlin, agreed to help out. And I think it cost us like $10,000 that day, and of course the county paid about $2,500. It's something that we'd like to build on, so.
So that's great about the 25 mile an hour. So that's awesome because it is just a matter of time in our neighborhood before something really bad is going to happen. We had been hoping that light on Ward would actually make it easier for us to get out of our neighborhood. It's actually made it worse. I've come to that light to try to go up Hoosick Street to use it as a way to get out of my neighborhood. And even though there's an arrow, the light is so short and the traffic is already still backed up that I can't get out.
Flashing yellow.
It's a flash, and they do a flash in yellow.
Doesn't make any sense at all to me.
So that light is really, I mean, I know other people said it, that light is an issue. I did see must have been some state people working on the light on North Lake and South Lake across the country there. They were looking at the timing of it.
We called them, we know the issues. We said, at least look at these lights,
So I actually have a couple of suggestions. I know you were asking, right? So number one, when people are coming up Hoosick Street, particularly very not local people, Google is telling them to come through my neighborhood, right? We need to get a hold of Google and indicate to them that this is not a through neighborhood. Somehow Google has to put that they can't come through the neighborhood. There's been multiple suggestions of doing bypasses. And I know the state really is responsible, but you as the town Like, if I call the state and say, there's a problem with this road going through my neighborhood, right? I know, listen to me. You as the town could advocate for us. And I understand you're working with them, and I know you're gonna do the study. But my other concern was, I know there's also supposed to be a traffic study in my neighborhood. The money was set aside by the Hannaford to do a traffic study in my neighborhood. But that's only gonna tell you the traffic now. It's not gonna give you anything to compare it to. And the only thing you can rely on to compare what the difference is testimony from people who live there. I've lived in the neighborhood for 22 years.
No, they did do a pre-study.
In my neighborhood?
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
All right, well, that's great.
And so they're gonna compare.
They're gonna compare it.
they got, the planning board got numbers before they did the traffic study.
I wasn't aware, because I never saw any study happen. But anyway, so, living there, I have noticed, like, I've lived there for 22 years, and so just recently, in the past couple of years, it has started to get really bad. But since Hannaford opened in that light, I'm telling you, it's 4 times as much traffic in my neighborhood. We go through walks in our neighborhood every night after dinner. My wife walks during the day. We could walk out by the Duncan Farm, which is a beautiful place to walk. I wouldn't encounter a car on that road. It is a constant two-way traffic on that road. I mean, it's definitely increased. Maybe in my underestimation, a 4-fold increase in just the last couple of weeks. Like, it's a constant line of traffic. I cannot go on a walk out anywhere in my neighborhood without encountering dozens of cars. And we all know that they're not obeying the traffic lights, and I'm not blaming you for the disrespect that people have, right? Absolutely not.
No,
And I know nothing you can do about disrespect of people, but there are some, I think, things that we proposed in our petition, some common sense things that we could do to try to at least mitigate some of the problems in our neighborhood, right? And you as a town are in charge of that road in my neighborhood. So I understand the Hoosick problem is a state problem, and I'm glad that you guys are working with them on the study, right? But the study's just gonna tell you what kind of problem you have. Are they gonna provide some solutions? Is the state gonna provide us with some solutions to this?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the sheriff has a sign in there, that's great.
We've already talked to the
I
sheriff.
got a whole list, Gordy.
So
I mean, we haven't been sleeping here, we're trying to help.
Great, I haven't been sleeping either, so,
No,
but.
but I'm saying,
No, I understand, sorry. Do those signs, the digital signs, do they record the speeds, or do they just?
No.
No. See, that would have been great. I was considering getting myself a radar gun and just keeping track, right, and bringing you some data. I might still do that. I might just do a little study where I bring you the data, be like the average speed over this series of time was 45 miles an hour in my neighborhood. And that would not be an exaggeration, and that's like an underestimation. So anyway, we've been keeping track of just sort of the hubbub on the various social medias, right? We have our own little neighborhood pages that we like to deal with ourselves, right? But we know some people who live in other neighborhoods, and they are boasting of coming through my neighborhood, saying, "We're so glad we can cut through that little neighborhood to get to Hannaford," right? And they're like, "Sorry about that to you people who live in that neighborhood," but I'm like, come on. I mean, it's clearly an issue, and our petition that we gave you, we have come up with some ideas that might help, right? Or at least we're trying.
There you go.
We're trying, right? And I don't think it's unreasonable to ask the state to do a bypass, or at least to send the trucks out Route 40, 142, and then, some sort of route around. That's what they did in Bennington, actually. Years ago, they had traffic in Bennington office, right? They have the Bennington bypass.
I've been around a long time.
Right, so right? So there are things that the state could do.
Yeah.
And I just think the best thing that we can do, and you could do as a board, is just keep advocating for us, right? Help us out here, state.
Every time I told you, I've gone with like people every year for maybe 10 years down to Albany, once a year to talk about Route 7. I walk in, honest to God, and they say, "You know how many Route 7s we got in this state?" And the answer is no.
No,
I didn't ask anything yet.
but at some point, it's somebody's responsibility.
And then the guy that kept saying no, I don't know.
All right, well, that's.
The guy that kept saying no to me became a consultant, and then all of a sudden, he was involved with a traffic light going off. So, and he was the one that did, crazy stuff. But I hear you.
All right.
Okay. Anybody else at this point?
Helen Rizzi, I'm at 6 Green Street. I was here last month and I spoke about the same situation. And I have to say that you have done some things that I am thankful for. I saw that you put a no truck sign, but that's coming in Genesee for off of Kuzik Street on Otsego and Green Street. And that's where the trucks are coming in, because that's where we all know who's driving the trucks and who has the farm at the end of the thing. And I don't feel any, pressure that the man owns the business down there. Now we have.
The man that owns the business, who I talked to, my highway superintendent went through there the other day, and he came out and stopped my highway superintendent and said, "What are you gonna do about the traffic here? The traffic's crazy." He just sold the land to Hannaford,
But
right?
so he
Mr. Duncan
has-
come talk to you and say, "You gotta do something with the traffic"?
Okay, so now he has sold the land and put Hannaford there. And you assured us that the trucks going to Hannaford were gonna be going in Ward Avenue. And I'm sorry for the people who live on Ward Avenue, but that's where the trucks are supposed to be going. So why can't we tell him that's where his trucks are supposed to be? Because he is bringing in trucks that are, like I said last month, Pepsi trucks. They have nothing to do with sick away milk.
That's completely,
And now he's rented part of his property to some electric company, so we have a whole bunch of electric trucks coming in. I
they
thought
coming
they
through
were
your
coming,
neighborhood too?
yeah, and I thought they were coming in because they were working on Hannaford, and I didn't know why all these electric trucks were coming through my neighborhood. And then I saw that there's a whole line of electric trucks on his property, plus electric poles down there, so they're coming in and out, getting the traffic poles. And they're going just as fast. The sick-away trucks go just as fast as the regular crazy people driving through our neighborhood. And believe me, I live in the second house, so I hear it in my front lawn, and I hear it in my back lawn. And they just are,
You couldn't even get your RV out the other day, so you put cones in the road
right,
in order to get out, stop the road, block the road, and got in trouble with that, didn't you?
right, I put a cone.
And I get the phone call.
Oh, who called you, the person?
I don't know who it was.
She was a witch. I had a
Who
call.
was
And I'm sorry, I said W. because-
Who's that person thinks she is? She's blocking the town.
Right, and I tried to get our trailer out, and I put cones at the very top of the hill, because if they come flying up over that hill and we're in the middle of the road with a trailer, they're gonna smash into the side of Chris's truck or the trailer.
That lovely person said, "What you doing with a big
So
RV
I
down there? Don't you have town lawn where they can't take RVs home?" I said, No.
So I put cones at the bottom
It's
and
nuts.
just to try to protect myself and Chris when he's pulling out.
Yeah, I
This
understand.
person went around the cones.
Yeah.
So then she was stuck because Chris was already out, and she had to back up because she was where, you can't just make a turn like a straight turn, so she had to back up. So I was pissed, so I was going past her, as she's going past me, I'm like, "What, you don't understand what cones mean?" And she says,
But she
"Oh, I didn't understand what the cone means." And I said, "Well,
she felt the
cones
need to call me.
usually mean that you stop, that they're there to stop traffic." And then she started, because
Oh.
all these people are coming through, and like we've been saying, we are getting harassed. She started screaming and yelling at me, and Chris had to get out of the truck and pull me away because I was just gonna slam her. And I was gonna go there. But anyway.
All right, what else?
On our.
I let you talk for 30 minutes last time.
Okay, so we had the no truck signs, but we would like a no truck sign coming in off of Otsego. And how about some local traffic only signs? I don't think they're gonna even care, but the more signs we can. I mean, we're talking about putting signs all over every one of our lawns and trying to, but I don't think people will read them, they're going too fast to even read the signs, nor do they care. How about giving some fines to the trucks that do come in our neighborhood, if there's a sign there? I know you don't like the idea of speed bumps or dips, but I'm telling you, they're coming up over that hill on Green Street like they're flying.
I get myself in a lot of trouble because I always say what's on my mind. I should learn not to do that. When you get a certain age, that's what you end up doing. I went up to visit my sister-in-law in New Hampshire last week, my wife and myself. She's in assisted living. not assisted, independent living center. And they had speed bumps in there. And they weren't the old type that I remember. These things weren't really bad. I mean, they just sat on top. They could be removed
Right.
for the winter time.
That's what we would like.
So, you know, the ones I saw was, that I'm used to, the big concrete things and our highway trucks and stuff. Those speed bumps, I looked at them and I thought of you, believe it or not, and say,
Right.
these aren't too
They can be
bad.
taken out. They have them in that
Yeah.
new development that's off of Oakwood Avenue that goes down onto Gurley Avenue, and they have the speed bumps in there. They take them out in the winter.
Yeah.
Just something that would make them hit the bump and that they would slow down. Also, you know, I talked to the sheriff because he's a friend of mine, so I called him, and then we got those speed signs in there. But they're facing the wrong way. The one's facing when you come in off of Otsego. Well, even the maniacs that are driving through our neighborhood are not going more than 20 miles an hour when they make the sharp turn in off of Music Street. So they're catching them at like 15 miles an hour, 18 miles an hour. That's not showing accurately what they do once they hit the fork in the road and come flying up either one of those roads. So I would still like to have a stop sign. Several years ago, my friend Chris, who lives with me, called you because he knew you, and he told you that someone hit him when he was pulling away from our mailbox on Short Essex, the tiny little part of Short Essex. And you put a stop sign on the top of Short Essex, but there's 2 stop signs on Short Essex, and Short Essex literally has one house on it, and nobody drives on it for anything. If we want a stop sign, we want a stop sign to stop them on Green Street, not Short Essex. Although when you come up Short Essex, we would like to see if we could get some kind of it's a blind spot. Even when you're walking, it's a blind spot, because you're trying to get up at the top of Short Essex Hill. You got them coming at you from both directions on Green Street, then you're trying to get across to the triangle to get onto Otsego. And so somebody was asking if we couldn't get some kind of a traffic mirror to show, because it's a notorious blind spot. And we've got blind spots all over the place there. I mean, on Otsego, there's a bend in the road. They can't see someone coming towards them. And on Green Street, there's the hill. They can't see someone coming. If we could just eliminate some of the two-way traffic and give us some crosswalks or some lines on the side of the road that say, this is where pedestrians ride their bikes, this is where pedestrians walk. And if you have to make them a one-way street to do that, I don't think anybody in the neighborhood at this point would care, because we're just so unsafe. And again, try to get to the Rensselaer County Sheriff, but I'm gonna be calling him again myself personally, because I have not seen a single person in there giving tickets. Those signs, I drove in the other day on Genesee behind a person, and the sign on Genesee was flashing, slow down, too fast, slow down. They didn't slow down at all. I mean, it meant nothing to the person in front of me in their car. So it wasn't just even saying their speed, it was saying literally slow down too fast, and it didn't stop them. I don't think that the speed signs are gonna do anything for them, because it's road rage, and they're taking it out on people who are walking now. And it's just really dangerous. But I do wanna thank you for what you have done, the tape on the stop signs. If we could get a couple more stop signs to make them stop. They have to stop every block, maybe they'll stop coming in there.
Some of them faded, you couldn't read them, we changed them. Thank you.
A couple more signs.
Anybody else at this point? Come on up.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Sarah Langard from 75 Oneida Ave. Okay, so I'm here to talk about speed humps, not speed bumps. Because
Okay.
speed bumps are
Yeah, I know, I
horrible,
get yelled at.
horrible. You know that, you hate them, I know that, we all know that,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's our conversation for tonight, kids. Okay, so speed bumps, I'm just gonna kind of read what I have, because I don't wanna go everywhere. So speed bumps have been widely used in parking lots to ensure vehicles slow to crawl, reduce hazards for pedestrians by aiming to keep vehicle speed down to about 5 miles per hour. The short travel distance across the speed bump ensures a sudden jolt to the vehicle as each axle passes over and encourages drivers to slow down. I'm gonna be very clear. No one wants that in our neighborhood. We don't want that. That's not what we're asking for, ever. Speed humps, on the other hand, they're a parabolic vertical traffic calming device that intends to slow traffic speeds on low volume and low speed roads. They have a gentler slowing function, and traffic can continue to drive safely at 15 to 25 miles per hour, conveniently, which is now the speed limit. Because of this, speed humps are used on public roads very frequently, although mostly in residential neighborhoods where the speed limits are fairly low. Again, like ours is now 25, that's really great. Speed humps are 3 to 4 inches high, 12 to 14 feet wide, and the ramp is about 3 to 6 feet deep. So, depending on the target speed, that can also be fluctuated. Spacing for the vertical speed controls should be determined based on the target speed of the roadway. So obviously, we're aiming for 25. So speed humps should be spaced no more than maximum 500 feet apart to achieve the 85th percentile speed of the 25 miles per hour that we're trying to achieve. And things, obviously, depending on how far apart they are, how slow or how fast someone's going to pick up speed until they have to slow down to go to the next one. Speed humps, this was something that came up while we were talking to neighbors also on that petition. Speed humps should not be placed in front of driveways or other significant access areas. Where frequent driveways make the application of speed humps difficult, it is possible to reduce the size. They don't have to be a set size because you can make them pretty much whatever size you need. But it is that wide, slower where one axle is up while before the second axle will hit it before the first axle gets off. Forcing people to slow down, but not slow down to a crawl, because we still have to move traffic. Weather, I know that was brought up where there's concern about snowplows being able to use them. The speed humps, for example, the speed humps and speed bumps can both be very difficult to see in rainy, dark or rainy and inclement weather. So the signage is very important. Unfortunately, most of the signage that's out right now, they can actually get, says speed bumps, even though they're not a speed bump. So that's super inconvenient, but anyway. The application of bad weather is another distinguishing factor between the difference between speed bumps and speed humps. Because they're not equal, when there's snow on the ground, speed humps, because they're lower to the ground and less invasive, are much less of a hassle for snowplow equipment. So snowplow, the drivers obviously might need a little bit additional training, but that should be easily added into their annual training that I believe they have to do every year. So that's my TED Talk for today. Remember, humps, not bumps. That's what we're going for. Thank you.
Anybody else at this point?
Hi,
Hello?
so I'm Alyssa Rizal, I live on.
I'm sorry,
28.
I'm sorry, into the mic, please.
Yeah, took the thing up.
I'm Alyssa Rizal, I live on.
You're talking too fast for me, I'm sorry.
3 Yates,
Alyssa?
yes, with an E.
Yeah, last name, I'm sorry.
Eversold.
Make sure we get the minutes right.
So I live on Yates, very small, narrow street that has become a high-speed thoroughfare. And I think that's because they come whipping off of North Lake and they just don't slow down until they get to the other side. And it has been a disruption. This is gonna sound like the stupidest thing ever, but I used to escort my cat out for walks. And I can't do that anymore because there's just too many cars. What used to be like one car or, a minute or every other minute is now 3, 4, 5 cars a minute. And it's just, somebody said it before, it's too narrow for 2 cars to pass side by side when somebody's parking on the street. And that's obviously an issue if somebody's going high speed. And I don't know what high speed is, you know, it's supposed to be 20 back there, 30, 35 is still fast when there's not a lot of space to maneuver. So one of the proposals I have is it's probably not very feasible, especially since Yates is such a small part of, you know, the Sickaway community over here. So my opinion is small. But I would like to see possibly not just the local through traffic or no through traffic signs, but I don't know if it would be possible for gates, like single way gates, or at least this small, I see that face.
Block the roads off.
No, not exactly. I wish I had, you know, a better explanation of what I am sort of seeing in my head. I don't. But I agree.
I understand where you're.
The speed humps is, I think, you know, I'm not gonna be mad if some guy in his low ride or, you know, WRX comes flying and gets a lesson from that. You know, nobody likes their undercarriage ruined. But, you know, I really think that will really help monitor the speed in these, you know, back developments. Because that is it seems like the most responsible adjustment in my opinion. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else at this point?
Here's 4 Green Street.
I'm sorry, start again. You guys go too fast for me.
Yeah.
Gary.
Yep.
Skiff,
Thank you.
4 Green Street.
Thanks.
I only have a couple things, everybody else said everything else. Between 11:30 and 12:30 on Friday afternoon, Friday morning afternoon, I sat and watched 46 cars come from Hoosick Street, flying down on Green Street, flying down on Seaway. 46 cars in 1 hour, okay? You guys like money? Does the town like money? There's a sheriff sitting there, you get 46 tickets. Okay, I'm tired of it. I have to.
They come to court, they plead guilty, and then they walk out the door, and they don't pay any fee, and they never come back.
They don't fine, they don't pay a fine?
But they're supposed to.
Okay.
It's driving me.
Collections, you didn't send
It's nothing new here. People are crazy these days.
That sounds like you are too, but.
I am too, okay.
Another thing, on Seagull going to Norfolk.
We figured out I'm crazy, so. Go ahead, sir. I'm Mike Dunn.
Listen, you just insulted me.
Come on.
Unnecessary. I'm speaking and he's talking.
I'm trying to talk.
No, you're trying to make up the story that you're talking about, and you've been doing all night. We don't want to hear that.
Go ahead, sir.
You are our elected officials. You're supposed to be doing work for us. See,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Talk.
Okay, so going to the farm in Norfolk, this car's whipping around. Me and my 2 girls almost got hit the other day because they're not stopping and they're flying around the corner of the house. I gotta push my kids off to the side of the road. Okay, there needs to be a 3-way stop. These cars are flying through there. That's one way to stop that. And also, because if anything happens to my family, I promise that this will be the last face that you guys see.
Oh, man. Thank you, sir. This is the hostility, that's what happens when we try to go down and talk to people driving cars. I don't want to talk to cars. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ed Golden,
Yes, sir.
14 Lord Avenue. Hanford's in, we know that, and the culmination of the project for us was the putting up of a sign at 11:30 one night, followed by the street sweeper at midnight across the street. I just thought that was hilarious. But can we get them to shut the lights off at 11 o'clock like they're supposed to, the parking lot lights?
We have 3, come on up, Mr. Goldie.
Chuck Goldman, code enforcement. Unfortunately, the electricians are still working there, like 11/7.
They're not done yet, actually, the exterior lighting is all completely done. What they're supposed to have is just the 3 front security lights.
Yeah.
I'll see if they can't de-energize the other circuits they're not working on. You're probably talking about the wall packs on the sides of the building.
Well, the parking lot lights are supposed to be turned off, except for 2 lights for the crews working overnight.
Right, yeah, the 2 front lights.
And the place is lit up.
That's not happening. Most of the contractors that are working on that, it would just be for staff. So,
Okay. And can we get a speed limit sign on Lord Avenue? That there was one there, and it had been removed or taken down or stolen, but.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, it's finally something I know I can do.
Fill this out.
You're kind of throwing away.
David Lilly, 46 Florida. Got a chance to listen to my fellow neighborhood people. I don't actually live in the Sigley neighborhood. I live right by the farm. And everything they said, and even the proposals that they made, I thought were genuine. I thought they were good. I thought the response was a little bit contrite. But I understand that this is a small section of Brunswick. Brunswick is large. There's a lot of people here, and I think we all understand that. We know that this is a big town. And as much as the squeaky wheel gets the grease, I'm starting to get a feeling, and just a heads up, prerequisite, I've only lived here for a year. I come from Albany. I moved down to this place because I love Brunswick. This was something amazing. I love this place. I love the people. I actually love my neighborhood. The fact that they stood up, I mean, look at the amount of people here. How often do you see this? Even as a small amount of people, we come, and it's not as if the smart or the hostility, these are things because we were frustrated. And it's different when you go, well, this is a small tip of Brunswick, and, they'll come and they'll talk, but we won't see them in a month. I guarantee you, if things do not change, you're gonna get an audience like this constantly. So even if it's not bumps, it's humps, or even if it's a speed bump or something like that. All we're saying is I get it, 5 miles out, you come to Hannaford, it's lower prices than Price Chopper. I'm super stoked that everyone in Brunswick is happy about Hannaford. Except for the fact that I get up every morning and clean roadkill off Lord Ave because people are speeding through it overnight. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of walking my dogs off into the neighborhood. I'm tired of watching people yell and speed down Duncan or even Genesee. This is where we live. And I know you can't solve the problem. You're like, well, what's our solutions? We're not elected. We don't get to change what solutions are. We just get to voice our piece. And I get it. I get voicing it, hearing people voice your stuff. It's a nuisance sometimes because you can't solve the problems we're asking you to solve. And it's nice just to know that we're heard. And I think that's kind of the point of here, is we just want to be heard. And we like to see solutions. I know there's studies going on, and God knows studies take super stoked about the results we'll see in 10 years. But right now, people are literally worried about their kids. They're literally worried about their pets. They're worried about being hit, being packed out of their driveway. And yes, that happens in every neighborhood. And there's 7 Hoosik's in every other town, in every other state, and they're all trying to solve the same problems. But we don't show up because we want to solve the problem with you. And I hope you hear that. I don't have any solutions other than the speed bump. I think that's a great idea. I think that the traffic, I think all these are great. The speed bumps, I'm so sorry. I think the petition is smart. And I think as a councilman, when you were elected, we are not just a small sack to be brushed off against. And I know you don't think that, but it gets, as a new person to Brunswick, I've watched the people get up and talk. I've watched the few comments from you, sir, as your supervisor. But even smart.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I've watched the comments, and I appreciate the back and forth, and I don't like hostility. But I think the point people are getting to is, what do we do? I mean, she mentioned people throwing stuff in the street, and vigilantism, which no one's backing out here, no one's doing that, but we're still coming to the end of the game. What do? We lock our kids up, we build a fence to have in the backyard that we gotta get passed by you guys. What do we do? And I think that was the point, and that's all I want to say. I'm just adding to the voices of all the people behind me. I'm just adding to it.
I appreciate your comment.
And thank you for hearing me out. Hopefully this got across. I mean, if nothing changes, I guarantee you, there's gonna be this behind me every time.
Thank you.
Should I?
I mentioned I would you guys don't wanna hear, bear with me, please, a little bit. I was born and raised here. I was born behind Walmart. We had a little farm, 56 acres. Thank God, when I was 8 years old, my mom and dad was smart enough to say, if we're gonna keep farming, if we're gonna keep farming, we gotta get out of this little area. And they had a chance to buy another farm. So, I mean, I remember crying. I was only a little kid, losing all my friends in Beverly Hills, loading the cows up and getting the tractors, and we all get in, and we got a new place to go. I mean, there wasn't many people here then. There was no cell phones or nothing. And I remember driving, and we drove for like 10 minutes and stopped. It was at the other end of Brunswick. I thought I was going to New Hampshire or Maine or something, you know? We never got out of Brunswick. So I love the town of Brunswick. I've been married 50 years, a couple weeks ago, to a young lady that I went to high school with by the name of Kathy Pollock. You know the Pollock Home Center? He was a farmer, but he's a lot smarter than I was. He got out of farming and got in the hardware business. But anyway, I'm Brunswick. Everybody here is Brunswick. I mean, we're together. I mean, I understand the situation here. Big time. Now, last time there was a concern, listen to me, people. The gentleman just got up there. It was a four-way stop that people wanted on Northway, at the top of Freer Park, because of so many accidents. I made some phone calls, I'm not mentioning any names, higher up the ladder than me. And they said, there's not gonna be four-way stops there. We don't use stop signs to control speed. You'll never see a four-way stop there. It's not gonna happen. Well, we didn't go to sleep. I didn't go to sleep. I didn't stop talking. You people didn't stop talking. We kept a little pressure on, and the people that might be higher up said, whoa, we gotta have a traffic study. We just can't run down and do things. So we had a traffic study. To make a long story short, you got a four-way stop there now. And I think that works. I'm sorry. Old guys like me who losing hearing. What?
Somebody died there.
Right.
Yes,
Somebody died.
I know, I understand. All I'm saying, and I understand that, that's what I'm saying is, I argued for it.
Not to interrupt you, sir. I'm very sorry. But I drive every morning.
Yeah.
To that stop sign.
Come on, grab that mic.
Sorry to interject.
I'm trying to be on your side here.
Absolutely, exactly. But we have to, we know. I drive through that stop sign every morning. I'd say 2 out of the 5 days a week, my life is at risk.
People don't
Fly
obey.
right through. Anyway, just because it's 4 ways. And it's, to me, the speed bumps are great, no speed bumps. But I'm not one for theatrics. I'd like action. Signs are theatrical. Action changes people's patterns and directions. And I agree with writing tickets and costing people money, because once you get someone in the pocket, it changes their.
We write the tickets and then they don't even show up.
So what?
I know, I say to people, write them.
As someone who's
It's a
paid
crazy
tickets
system.
and come to court, a percentage of them
Crazy system.
do show up. And you know what they're not gonna do? They're not gonna come to our neighborhood because they have an outstanding warrant or an outstanding ticket. So even though you lost money, you got someone out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, you come here Wednesday night, and a lot of them.
I have as a kid.
There's a lot of them,
I've seen it.
a lot of them are the same people.
I've seen it, but you know what? The ones that pay, pay. And the ones that don't, stay out of the neighborhood a lot of times.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interject.
No. Wait a minute now. All I was trying to say is, we as a board agreed for the four-way stops. There was we were told, let's do a traffic study, not us, but the county did a traffic study. And needless to say, I thought they were working, they're better. So what I'm saying, and that was the last time I met with a group of people here, that got done. I understand that. I understand when we did a comp plan, which we still have, and everybody in the town of Brunswick contributed to the comp plan, we said we gotta have a business zone somewhere, we gotta have commercial, because most people don't wanna raise taxes. Every time I talk about raising taxes, they start screaming at me, and so on and so forth. And I will say this year, for the 23rd time out of 29 years, we're not gonna raise your town of Brunswick taxes 23 out of 29 years. Now, the situation there is, number one, I gotta pay it too. I mean, I got a farm, I pay a lot of taxes myself, I don't wanna pay them either. I forget what I was saying. Go, I hate to have you stand there. Go ahead.
All right, so I forgot when I was up
No,
there.
no.
To speak to what the gentleman said about the garbage can on
Yes,
by Price Chopper by this stop.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that that is New York State highway, and that's New York State, but when all these people from out of town are driving in from Vermont and driving through our town, and they see Brunswick,
I know.
is that what you want them to see?
Not at all.
It's disgusting, it's really disgusting. There's shopping carts there, all, half the time they're tipped over broken, but the garbage is insane. I mean, I'll go in on a garbage can if somebody would just clean it up, because when I drive
they
past
personally
it
don't
every
want the
day,
bus stop there personally, to be honest with you.
nobody wants the bus stop there, and I don't know why it got changed from going into Price Chopper, but the thing is, Brunswick is our town where we live, and all these people from out of town come through there, and the first thing that they really see when they get to what they think is Brunswick, because they don't realize they're in Brunswick out by you, but they realize they're in Brunswick when they get in by the shopping centers, and the first thing they see is garbage on the side of the road. I mean, I don't live in South Troy because I don't wanna live with garbage on the side of the road, and I don't want people looking at me like you live in a crappy place. This is a beautiful town, and if we can't just get one garbage can there and have, I don't know who in Brunswick pick up the garbage out of it, or go to Price Chopper and say, someone in Price Chopper has to go out and empty that damn can.
Been there,
because-
done that. Doesn't work.
Well,
Hey, Mike, you think we can get a garbage can out there?
Somebody will steal it.
it's disgusting, almost every day out of the week.
Not every highway superintendent told me that would be here, so.
Almost every day out of the week when you drive past there, there's garbage all over the ground, all over that wall. And it's really a very, awful thing to think that people drive into our town and think this is what
I
they're driving into.
totally agree.
Okay.
Let me spin on that real quickly. Jim was right, I put another gentleman in charge of it, that didn't get done, so I called CAM with CDTA, Seglia or whatever his name is. They had a CDTA with a bus stop. And I said, one thing I know that this grant's gonna study is the traffic lights on Route 7 and coordinating them. They got smart lights now, whatever, that talk to each other. And I said, it's not gonna work when you get these lights coordinated and the traffic maybe flows and then somebody hits a button and just stops that light altogether. It's not gonna work. So I did call CDTA and I talked to that gentleman who's in charge. And he said, I have been contacted by the federal people. I understand. And when you get your consultants on board, let's see what we can do. And I don't know what the problem is, whether it's the Price Chopper, people said you couldn't come in, some people said it turns. But that's not a place for to take the shopping carts across, you leave them there, you throw the garbage. I mean, I understand all that stuff. So, all I was trying to say is, I didn't think for a while I would ever see a four-way stop on Freer Park and North Lake. And that road, I didn't think it was gonna happen. I thought they were gonna do their studies, kind of what they told me. They said, you can't use traffic lights or traffic signs to control flow or whatever. But, and whether somebody got killed, you're right, that's correct. And that's the first thing they asked. I said, you know how many accidents we got on Hoosick Street? Nobody got killed. That's because they can't only drive 10 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour. That's why they're not getting killed. But anyway, what I'm saying is that happened. We got it done. So what's going on now, as I mentioned, I think you people know, when they approved Hannaford, the planning board had Hannaford put a $10,000 escrow up to hire a traffic consultant to study your area. And I know it's time to do it. I didn't know whether to do it right away. I went down in there talking to one lady one day, and she said, oh, it's crazy, when they're building the store, which we know. She said, it's got a lot better. I don't know if it got a lot better or not. But anyway, we'll get that study out there, we'll hire somebody with a firm, and we'll get looking at that traffic. What can we do in the meantime? This is simple. Maybe it's not about anything, I don't know. We did talk to the sheriff, we did talk to the state police. They did put the signs there. I do know that the sheriff wrote a couple tickets. I don't know what the trooper did or whatever. First thing the sheriff said was, somebody put up these 20-mile-an-hour speed signs to them. And the attorney next to me will quickly tell you they were not legal. We cannot put them up. You can do that in a school zone. You can't do it in residential. So we went down and took the 220s down, and my phone was ringing. I got called more names than this gentleman was calling me or whatever, because I'm raising the speed limit now. But the police and the sheriff says, let's get it so we can enforce this. So we took the 20s down, put the 25s up. And you're right, I went and talked to a senior group down in Keys Lane. Some of them live over on 142. And they said, can't wait for Hannaford to come. We're gonna go up North Lake and cut through that development, because we don't wanna go out on 7. And I said, that development's not very big. And they said, we pay taxes. That's our road. You're gonna tell me I can't use that road? So anyway, not that it matters to you maybe, but, and I know the situation. We're gonna try to work on it, but I'm very proud to try to hold a line on taxes. That doesn't usually happen. I think our services are pretty good. Some people moved here and said, I don't get my brush picked up where I live. I don't get leaves picked up, town's not responding. The problem I got now is paving. We have a budget of $440,000. Carroll Grove Road, as any of you know that, up there from Tamarack over. We looked at that this year. I was $186,000 for one road. And we got over 100 miles of roads. So when we did our comp plan, we said we gotta have a commercial area. We gotta have a commercial area. And of course, where's it gonna go? Where the water and sewer, where's that? Right, where you people live. Over on Route 2, not that you wanna hear this, but I tried hard, this board has tried hard, we've been very, very successful, not that you're interested in that probably. But we try to keep the apartments that we have off of Route 2. They wanted a north-south connector road, Jim knows that, right next to his house, from Walmart over to Route 2. We fought that, we turned that down. I'm trying to keep Route 2 looking the way it is. Your situation, you're right in the middle of that commercial, and I know, we just say stop, stop, stop. But I know there's a problem, we know there's a problem. Not an easy solution, but I don't want you to think I'm not paying attention to it. So that's my speech.
May I make a suggestion?
Come on, yeah, come on up. One more little speech. Go
Okay,
ahead.
no, Paula,
Not you, me.
Paula Golden, 14 Lord Avenue. When you do the study, the traffic study, please do not hire these same traffic people
Okay.
that the developer used when they built Hannaford. Because she said intuitively, no one's gonna come through our neighborhood to get to Hannaford. Did she not say that? She said that, she said that. And she,
Who said it? Some person?
the traffic engineer, she
Oh.
stood here and said intuitively, no one's gonna cut through the neighborhood to get to Hannaford.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, we
But-
know that.
we know that. And she also said in her traffic study that she had one gentleman sit in a car at the corner of Tucker and Lord for one day between 7 and 4:30. Only 7 cars went down Lord Avenue. I went out of my driveway that's unused to go down Tucker, to go down Lord at least 4 times that day. So the guy sitting in the car wasn't doing he wasn't clicking enough. So please, I don't know what company they were from, find another one.
Find out, okay.
Find out and don't hire them. I don't care if they're the lowest bid.
That's a good
All right.
suggestion.
Just, because intuitively, it ain't working.
I used to live on the Chestnut Avenue, when I was 8 years old. I wish I could turn the clock back 70 years. I mean, there's nobody here in Brunswick, there's only a few of us farmers, you know? It was, Mr. Angster was here, it was a beautiful place to live, beautiful. What's happened is people discovered Brunswick's a beautiful place to live, and now all of a sudden, farms are disappearing and so on and so forth. And you don't wanna hear this, but this is true. Where I live on Tamarack Road, and Jim's right, I live 5 miles out. My farm's across the road. Honest to God, I always, in the old days, I would get up in the morning at 4 o'clock and I would go to work. You know, my wife got up, she would let our golden retriever out, we had 4 or 5 of them. And pretty soon the golden retriever would be over to the farm. You know why? It would walk across Tamarack Road. It was no traffic. What's happening now is, and you come up Tamarack Road and take a look, the county just paved it besides the upper end. I come out my driveway in the morning, and you guys come up and park there, you're welcome. There are 10 cars lined up, and they keep coming, and they're coming, and they're coming. And what's happening is, they're coming down, they don't want to go down Route 7, so they're coming down Tamarack and then down Route 2. I'm not gonna let a golden retriever out now and come over by itself. So the whole traffic thing is changed. I just wish we could go back where there was nobody here. I can remember when you had college across the street from you, right? And you let them walk across Route 7. So I'm just saying, times have changed, and I know you got a situation. I understand that. And I like to think we can try to help you. And we're not here being Mr. Tough Guy. You know, we're trying to pay attention. So, anybody else at this point? Come on up. I probably said that's the end of my lecture.
Mary Lou Sharp, 18 Otsego. I just have a question. What's the deal with this medical building going up on the Chestnut? Is that also going to cause more traffic?
What's the deal?
Yeah.
I don't know. My doctor, my heart was that the other day, and he said, I had a chance to go up there, but I don't want to go up there because of the traffic.
Well, I mean, that's it.
He said, I'd rather stay down by RPI where I could walk
We've
that
got so
hospital.
many buildings now. Why was that approved? Right.
That's like a supermarket.
No, but it's still gonna bring in
It's a
more
commercial.
cars.
I've got people that live over in Rouse that there's an eye doctor, Dr. Robinson is going in there. I got people in Rouse saying, I don't want to fight Hoosick Street. They're thrilled that Dr. Robinson's coming up. The other Dr. Robinson, for the second floor, does colonoscopy, stuff he's on bill. People here, in the older people, like myself, they're happy that that's coming. They're saying, that's good, I don't want to fight the traffic. And the planning board doing a study, and I don't, you know, supposedly, right, Chuck, it's not supposed to be a big flow of people, I don't know how that works, but.
No, it's not. It's going to be limited in scope. It's not going to be another Fuller Road type of place. They're going to be limited in scope.
Yeah.
The building is only half the size of that building.
That's
Most
it.
of it will be bariatric.
The thing I got for years and
New York
years.
ortho is going to take up that half of the second story, which I'm
Then
happy
it's gonna
about
be
going there to
busy.
get my knee fixed.
I'm a retired nurse and I know New York before though. It's gonna be busy. They're gonna have a lot of people.
I would think we did.
A lot of people who don't want to go to all, they go there.
That's right. That's right. You've got a lot of elderly care, me included.
I've had a lot of people tell me over the years too, we're sick and tired of high prices here because there's no businesses here. Now listen, I'm just telling you, this is years ago. We had to go across, to go to the hardware store. You know, we want to pick up paint, we gotta go across the river, we gotta go. Now, my father-in-law, who was Mr. Pollock, says, this is wonderful. So he probably raised the prices a little bit high back in the old days for people to stay. But I've got people that want to be able to go to a local vet. I got people that want to go to a local hardware store. I got people that want services that don't want to go across the river, and that's what we've got.
Well, why does it have to be on Route 7?
I know, because that's where the comprehensive plan said the water and the sewer, they won't go out in the country, they won't go for.
How far does the water
Okay.
and sewer go to?
far does the Florida?
I'm
Sea
sorry.
go?
To the pond, to the diner.
To the diner?
Yes.
Yeah, just at the diner. I ask these people when they come, you know, why don't you consider going out? There's not a lot of traffic. This gentleman's got a very nice Agway store that's very popular out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there are places out
And
there.
he
that
just,
must not-
but you know what they tell me? No, I wanna be between, Walmart and Waterford, or Walgreens, because that's where the traffic is, that's where we wanna be. That's the
Well, do you
pressure
have
I
to say
get.
yes?
Huh?
Do you have to say yes to them?
Exactly.
I say, no, the road can't handle it. And they say, you see this piece of paper? Right here, where is it? DOT says, yes, we can handle it. I said, well,
Well,
I
DOT
don't think
doesn't
you can.
live here.
They say, who are you? I agree with you. Jennifer, come on up.
I will be quick, I swear. And
That's okay, I'm done.
I'm a little nervous. I'm gonna talk about something I don't know very well, finance. Jim knows it very well. Jennifer Mann, 91 Hill Road. So I believe that Paul Bueller did come in and present, or maybe it was Kathy Batzinger, a plan in the summer of 2021, when it was a historically wonderful opportunity with the interest rates being almost at zero, to undertake a big infrastructural project by getting municipal bonds. And I don't really know how this works, but I understand that like as individuals, we can't bond out our debt, but municipalities can. And it's a way of investing in our infrastructure. So, because I'm a huge fan of commercial development, it keeps taxes low, but I feel like if we're not building our infrastructure with the development, we're gonna strangle our potential for commercial growth anyway. Like how many more dollars could we be bringing in for sales tax revenue if we didn't have all that traffic? So that, Paul knows all about that, and he consulted with a banker who was the CEO of the bank. She was a Republican, and she's very fiscally conservative, and she was very confident that that was the right thing for Brunswick to do at that time, before all this development went in, so. That's it. Oh, I also told Bonnie Fucci I would offer her thanks to Michael Bailey. She is very thrilled with the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Just
Yeah,
a-
again, it,
Well, I just want to comment on a couple. But one is, you know, it's a state road. And it's a little strange to me that, and Kathy, I think, mentioned $3 million to the state to modify that road. And, you know, it seems strange that the town would underwrite a $3 million debt to improve the state highway. And on top of that, if you just figure the numbers, right, just simple. $3 million, you know, figure over, you know, 30 years, right, it's $300,000 a year. No, $100,000 a year. So $100,000 a year plus interest, so you're $150,000. We raise about, let's just say round numbers, 10,000 for every 1%. So we have to raise taxes at least 15%, probably 20% to pay that debt.
We were assured by the banker that we wouldn't have to raise taxes at all, that the,
Where do you get the money from then?
the increased sales tax, and it was a conservative estimate.
Well, if you think that improving the road is going to, it's going to, so that what you're saying is you're going to bring more traffic through, right? That's what you're saying.
That is the thing that happens.
Yeah, you're trying to bring more traffic through.
With better infrastructure.
So even with the infrastructure, so. But, you know, the other thing is you know, I've never seen a projection that where you improve the roadway, you're gonna necessarily generate $15,000 more, you know, $150,000 more sales tax. You know, right now, you know, what, $800,000 sales tax. That's a tough one to make work. So.
you know, and again, you don't wanna hear this either, but right now, our sales tax is up $140,000. We get 4 checks a year. We still got 1 check coming, which I expect to be about $400,000. So our sales tax for the town of Brunswick should be $500,000 over last year. Why is that important? As you know, we're losing our highway people. They're not leaving, they're staying because we give them more money, but everything costs more money. Our trucks, our machinery, and people say to me, we want the road paved, we don't want to pay more taxes, and you would say, yeah, get these Hannaford out of here and we'll pay twice the taxes. But not everybody's telling me that in the town of Brunswick. I hear you, I'm concerned about apartments. I think we've got a lot of those, we got a lot of options. So what's,
Excuse me, sorry.
okay. So I'm not saying I'm justifying all the traffic through your neighborhood because of sales tax, but I'm just saying in order to run the town, and when the phone rings, which it rings quite often, and people want this, they want that, they want this tree cut down that we can't do, which is, the guy charges $1,000 to cut it, I gotta generate money someplace. It's either gonna tax the heck out of here, or I gotta have sales tax from someplace. So that's the dilemma that I got, so. Anybody else at this point? We got business at the end also, so. Come on up.
I don't want to steal any of your guys' thunder, because mine has nothing to do with anything with you guys.
I think we got it covered.
My name is Jason Laird, I live at 4 Winfield Lane.
I'm sorry, 12 in?
We talked about this road last year, and I appreciate the work that you guys did on it.
Winfield?
Winfield. But unfortunately, all the work you guys did last year is completely gone. So all of the flooding issues, all of the drainage issues, all of the pavement that was broken up last year is 10 times worse than it was last year. I think one of the other issues is that we didn't get our street sweep at all this year, and that usually happens at least twice.
You got a new highway superintendent, doing a pretty good job.
He's making a note right now.
Yeah, make a note on that, will you?
So, and the only reason I said it is because we have a lot of silt and stuff that
Yes.
comes off the hill,
Yes,
and it runs into the grates, and then the grates get completely jammed up, and then no matter how much work you guys do on the road, it hits the dirt, which is covering the grates, and it goes right down the hill. Which also then takes up all the patches that you guys put up last year. So I know that there's a lot of things going on, and I noticed you said that, you got all these roads, but that
I know.
road really needs some attention back.
you're just one gentleman, and I totally agree. When they put Winfield State in, I didn't have anything to do with that, but that being said, they didn't build that road correctly. There's not a good base on that. Like, this gentleman is one of many people that has issues with his road. He pays a lot of taxes up there. I know where you live. You gotta have services, and out where you live, the road's about the only service you get. So, I and we have gotta take care of these roads. I gotta generate money. And where is it? Hannaford, the shopping place. And you go, whoa! But that's the darn balancing act we got, I don't wanna raise taxes 20% with winter coming up and the crazy fuel oil prices and everything else. So that's the struggle.
I don't want to compound this issue.
No. But it is, but it's all kind of together. That's the dilemma, so. Mr. Bailey, brand new, he's pretty young and aggressive. Well, not young, but he's aggressive.
He's kind of young.
And I know that the state has not, you guys kind of got handed that raw deal, so to speak, but,
That was.
You still have to do something about it. It's really bad. I would like, if you guys want to come up and take a look at it, be my guest, but I guarantee you're not gonna want it.
Yeah, what's your address?
I live at 4.
Right at the beginning?
On the top of the hill.
Top on the left?
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
No, I totally understand. Anybody else at this point?
Actually, yeah, the one puts the speed bumps on, on Wilson, that would be nice, because I pitched in your lawn a few times to get away from cars.
Oh, that's good.
The problem's there. They go to school in the morning. So that's what it's
All
bad.
right. Again, I got public access to the internet. So. Minutes of previous meeting, September 9th, town board, public hearing, and special meeting. I have a motion approval.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Lewis, town clerk report.
Okay, for September, we'll be remitting $9,169. Rounded amounts, $5,125 in recycling sales, $1,300 in rental fees. That's for the community center. We actually had our first pavilion reservation for next year. $740 in dog licenses. We have, 15 new dogs, and 97 still with us, and $2,003 in miscellaneous fees. In the miscellaneous, this past month, because of the permits for the wildlife management units for the hunters expired, and the bow season started at the same time. This past month was really busy. And we actually collected over $11,000 in sales for DEC. And we get $625 out of that.
Wow,
So that wasn't too bad.
great, huh?
Also, Rebecca, deputy, put up on our new sign that we sold hunting licenses. You'd be really surprised how many people driving by said, we never knew you did that. I've been here 16 years, been selling them now. That shocks me when people walk in and they say that. But the sign made a difference. We got quite a few people in.
I stopped Saturday to do some paperwork, and some gentleman came in, said, I saw the sign.
Yeah, yeah.
He lives in Hoosick or someplace, and he drives me through. I mean, I won't find anybody here today, but thank you for signing.
And just one other thing on the community center, we're done for the year. I think there's one date left. And-
Booking?
Yeah, and we're booking like
One
crazy,
weekend.
booking crazy for next year too. So, and we keep telling people, get it in early.
Entertained a motion to approve bill report.
I'll make a motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway Department, Mr. Bailey?
Good evening. October report, we finished up doing Robin Lane pipe installation there, grass seeded it. Reconstructed Coombs Road, which required bridge rail, base course reconstruction. Ditching and paving, shoulder work. I spent 3-4 days putting signs up down in the Sickaway area. Installed pavement on the Dusenberry and Old Seaf, where we did 2 culvert repairs. A lot of ditching up by George Washington School and Hampshire. We did Bonnie's project for her, that worked out very well. That was quick and worked out well for her. Doing the ditching and all that rip work. The board allowed me to rent a road wider. I went through all the roads every day this year, put shoulders on a lot of it where there was a large top off and some topsoil and seeding road to get that put on. This season, the town crew, they paved Farrell Road and Liberty Road, Shine Road, Crossways, Lansing Road, Pleasant View Road, and Coombs Road. I used up a lot of your money playing that. Sorry about that, but that's part of it. What else here, right? And between picking up brush and bags, we spent 37 man days. We mowed for 13 man days. Patching, we spent 25 man days doing that. Bunch of odd jobs, putting up signs, that sort of stuff. I did 19 man days on that. A couple 3 trees fell down, we had 5 man days on that. 9 man days ditching. That's my report. If the board would let me, I'd like to talk to the residents on Sickaway about a couple of things. You all wanted me to put speed bumps in there. Let's put speed bumps.
Hey, great term.
As soon as I do that, somebody comes along and gets in an accident, the town, we don't want to see.
If somebody gets into an accident and one of our children or dogs get hit, it's gonna be the same situation. So we're trying to be preventative.
I don't even have to ask the attorney, I'm sure that.
I have a question. Why would speed humps increase the likelihood of an
I'm
accident?
sorry?
Why would putting a speed hump then increase the likelihood of an accident?
Vehicles drive away.
Unless they were driving illegally.
I'm just sure that I can't put an obstacle on the road. I will check with the town attorney and be sure of that.
Why do other places have speed bumps? And they're putting them in Albany.
Delmar has them.
So what's
Again, we're gonna have a professional give us an opinion, and Hannaford's gonna pay for that professional. So I like to get that, me and Mike have some ideas, and everybody on the board has ideas, but.
The supervisor talks to me at least twice a day, and more than you may believe, it's in your area.
We believe it.
Signs.
We live there, trust me.
I've been in the area, I can swear out that
to drive to the stop sign. I understand.
I can tell you that you're gonna be sued if one of my dogs gets hit, or if one of the children in the neighborhood gets hit, you're gonna be sued, because you've all been told about this for months and months.
We know.
Months and months, we've talked, years, we've been coming to you and talking to you about this problem. So the first person who gets hurt in there, you're gonna be sued.
Yep.
Speed hump or no speed hump? Because it's gonna be one of us that's gonna be the speed humps. That's the way it's coming down to.
I work for you. I just don't know what my.
That lady the other day says, man, she's gonna sue you because you put cones in the town roads. I said, don't do that.
I told her.
She's a feisty lady.
She said, I can't, this is a public road. I said, this is a private neighborhood.
You said, this is my road, I pay taxes, I bet you don't.
I said, I'll bet you don't live in this neighborhood, so you don't pay any taxes. I do. It's my street.
I had a grandmother like you, but now I'm same age as my grandmother.
You call me old. I'm gonna sue you for that.
I'm trying to say, I'm used to strong women, so I'm trying to be complimentary.
Okay.
Motion approved, Bill, or Mike's report,
I'll make it.
I have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chuck? Oh, Mr. Bradley tonight?
I guess not, I don't. Town of Brunswick Building Department report for September 2022. 149 building and property inspections, 363 active building permits, 19 permits issued or renewed, 13 meetings, 2 planning board meetings, 1 zoning board meeting, 0 court cases, 0 fire inspections, 6 follow-up complaint and follow-up code complaint inspections, 1 code fallout with their inspections, 12 code complaints, 13 code complaint inspections, 3 vacant properties identified, 6 planning board projects, 5 zoning board projects, and 15 FOIL request searches received. Wendy's is going to be starting on Monday, and then break ground on Monday. All these expect significant completion by November. Significant completion is a very vague term in the construction industry. I know one thing for sure is that the rooftop unit, we still don't have a delivery date on the main heater cooler for the building, so. Myself, in the building department, myself and Mike McDonald, as well as Bill Bradley, had a meeting with CVE, a kickoff meeting for the commercial solar project up on Bel Air Lane. They expect to get started sometime in springtime. They figure about March. Just to add something to Mr. Golden, we still have not completed the light study yet because the exterior lighting is not all completed on the building. So my concern of that was that style of LED, if those lenses should drop on that, the light may come off on top of the lens. So that was, one of our concerns about that. And I have yet to do light study for that until they get all the exterior lighting. But I will check on the parking lot because they are supposed to check.
Any questions for Chuck? I'll make a motion to approve the report. Can I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town attorney, Mr. Chalky?
Yes, on October 3rd, I attended and participated in a special town board meeting regarding the budget, a personnel matter, and a private attorney-client session. Prepared the resolutions which are on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I assisted in the preparation of 2 introductory local laws to be submitted to the town board this evening for consideration of introduction. Worked on a complicated personnel issue and had several internal meetings and discussions with staff on that matter. I attended and participated in meetings with staff and outside counsel on various matters at town office on September 9, September 9, September 13, September 14, September 15, September 19, September 20, September 21, September 26, September 29, October 3rd, and October 7th. Participated in conference calls with outside counsel, town consultants, and town officials on a matter on October 7th. worked with the building department regarding some outstanding code violations and complaints and requests for an interpretation and other outstanding matters involving the department. Worked with the supervisor's office on various purchasing and personnel issues. Worked with the supervisor's office regarding required updates to the town of Brunswick personnel handbook. I assisted the building department, the town clerk, and some other town departments regarding responding to some freedom of information law requests. And I performed legal research, provided legal opinions, and reviewed or prepared legal documents as requested by various town officials and employees. That's it.
Enough of them. Entertain a motion for Tom's report?
I'll make it.
Can I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right.
Tracy, town historian.
Good evening, John. Short and sweet, as usual. I did end up meeting with Mary Valak. I had mentioned her last month about she has new ground penetrating radar. Those of you that are familiar with Forest Park, there's one section, the Clinton plot, that doesn't seem to have anyone buried there or not that we could see. Well, she did use her little thing, and we found, let's see, there's approximately 15 people that are buried in that section, and we found the first time that she was there, we found 16 graves, and we did mark them out. That section of Clinton is known as Potter's Field, so they're all single graves, and there's no marking, no stones, no nothing. So I met with her again this past Sunday. We were there 5 hours. We left in the dark. She continued where she left off the previous time. And as she was going with her machine, she found that there were actually people buried in the pathway or the road, like where Rodney would go up and mow. So we found approximately 15 graves in the pathway.
Wow.
So they're also marked. So I reached out to Eddie O'Donnell, who was working here at the time when the town took over in the early 1990s, and we're trying to figure out if the road was there or if the town kind of made a road, because the cemetery was so overgrown back then, there may not have been a clear path. So I'm gonna work with him, and I'm gonna get hold of Doug Eddy just to see, of course, now that we know people are there, we're gonna try and move the road over a little bit, but very fascinating stuff. She has a report that she's gonna give to me in a CAD file, which I know we are capable of that in the building departments. I think once the report comes out that normal people can read what her report was, because she has a computer screen on her machine and you just see lines. So to me, it doesn't mean anything. So once things are reviewed by her technician, it all makes more sense. But it's pretty fascinating of just that little plot. So we're going to continue and see what happens.
The TU doesn't help you, they just put in there one of the haunted cemeteries.
They do that every
Yes,
year.
yeah.
I know.
And speaking of that, we are gonna have our annual walkthrough on the 22nd, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So, okay, that's it, John. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for.
Okay, motion for Tracy's report?
I'll make it.
Second?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right.
Tom, come on up. Recycling coordinator.
Good evening. September, blue bags purchased at $501, $3 for $1,503. Blue bags purchased from vendors, $600 for $1,530. Purple bags purchased at the center, $167 at $2 for $354. Mixed single stream, 12.69 tons at $35 a ton for $444. Our bale corrugated 2.9 tons at $70 a ton for $203. Our metal, light iron, and tin, we had 0.14 tons at $130 and $140 a gross ton for $493. Our miscellaneous, we had 16 large and small appliances, 10 ACs, 13 tires, 2 dehumidifiers, 13 TVs, and 3 propane tanks for $592. and that gave us revenues of $5,119. Our general expenses, the refuse landfill, 11.81 tons at $69 a ton plus for $1,063. Our construction demolition, we have 1.61 tons at $100 a ton for $163. And our CRT monitor recycling was 1.6 tons with 970 pounds at 35 cents a pound for CRT handling for $339. So that gave us expenses of $1,566. The total amount recycled and landfilled for the month of September was 34.75 tons.
Thank you. Entertain a motion for Tom's report?
I'll make it.
Can I have a second?
You got my report, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for coming up. I've sat out in them chairs. I know they're not very comfortable. Oh, now they're getting hooked up. So, what's going on at the library?
We just had our Fall Fest, which was really fabulous. We had several local people who helped us to make it wonderful. We had 4-H come, we had New Farms, we had 4 local authors, including Logan S. Klein and Julie Chapman, who's a news anchor in their area, so that was a pretty big deal for us. We also had Operation Snip Cat Rescue come, and we did have a cat adoption as well as a couple of applications, so yay, cats got adopted. Our next big event coming up is our Haunted Trail. We're looking for donations of candy so that we can hand out candy the week leading up to Halloween to all of our kids who want to trick or treat. To the more boring numbers parts of things, for September, we had 2,729 visitors. We answered 455 reference questions. Our Wi-Fi was used by 177 unique users, an average of 25 people a day use our Wi-Fi. Our study spaces were used 271 times. Our items, both physical and digital, were checked out 7,228 times, and our programs were attended 735 times. And that is what I have. Any questions?
Hearing none. Entertain a
Right.
motion. Sarah's report. Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, resolution. Mr. Lewis, can I have resolution number?
Yes, we do. Okay, we'll start with number 63 of 2022. Resolution amending adopted 2022 annual budget.
I'll offer it. I'll second it.
Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Christian. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Balsberry
Aye.
is not here, that's right. Not paying attention. And Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 64 of 2022, resolution approving 2023 tentative budget as 2023 preliminary budget of the town of Brunswick.
I'll offer it.
Second.
Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Christian. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Balsberry absent. Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted.
Bill,
Do we want to,
Schedule a
want to
meeting.
set the public hearing
Yep.
on that?
on the budget?
on budget?
Yes, we should.
So normally what we do is we have it on the Thursday following the general election. That's actually the last day that you can start it, but that's what we've done for years.
That would be November 10th.
That would be the day of the town board meeting, just because of the way the
Oh.
calendar works this year. And we've got some other things we're going to talk about to be putting on, so we're going to have to make some decisions.
So you're saying we can't do it that night, probably?
Pardon me?
We probably can't do it the 10th?
Oh, no, I think we could probably do the budget.
We can.
I mean, we're going to have to start before,
Yeah,
start 6 o'clock or something.
Or 6 o'clock? Okay. Yeah, I can do 6 o'clock on the 10th. Want to set that?
Okay. So the
Bill, you got that?
Mhm.
6 o'clock,
public hearing on November 10th.
6 p.m. budget.
Okay,
All right, everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Okay, so November 10th at 6 PM, there'll be a public hearing for the preliminary budget. And I'll put the notice out to the newspapers and it'll be on our website also. Okay. Next, Resolution 65, 2022, resolution rejecting bond form for decommissioning of solar equipment. Second,
I'll second.
foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Sipperly. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Bellister absent. Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Number 66 of 2022, resolution reappointing member to Board of Assessment Review of the Town of Brunswick. Somebody offer?
I'll offer. I'll second.
Foregoing resolution was offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Sipperly. Other way around. Offered by Councilman Sipperly and seconded by Councilman Christian.
Yeah.
Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Supervisor, yeah.
Aye.
God, I'm doing great tonight. Councilman Ballester is absent. Supervisor Harrington is aye. Resolution is adopted. Number 67, 2022, resolution amending Town of Brunswick employee handbook in relation to sexual harassment policy.
I'll offer. Second.
Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Sullivan. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballester absent. Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Number 66, 2022, resolution appointing and fixing compensation of Justice Court Clerk.
I'll offer.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Christian and seconded by Supervisor Harrington. Roll call vote, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballester absent. Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted.
We had an opening in the town courts for a court clerk. And the judges interviewed and came up with this candidate who works part-time and half moved court. And she just moved to Brunswick, so that fell in place, so that's what this is. So, we went along with the recommendations. What else you got, Bill?
Well, next we should look at, there are two local laws to be introduced. Somebody will have to introduce those. And there will be a resolution which has to do with the first one. So whoever needs to speak about this.
Probably people wondering what's up, right? Yeah. You wanna do that?
Yeah.
Bear with us, people.
Okay, so we've got two proposed introductory local laws that have been provided to the town board members for consideration of whether they'll be introduced this evening. And by introducing them, that starts the adoption process. I'm going to discuss the two local proposed introductory local laws separately for the purpose of clarity. The first one I'm going to discuss pertains to zoning. You may ask, isn't there a proposed new zoning law currently pending before the town board? And if you ask that, you'd be correct. In the way of background, for some time, the town has been considering revising and adopting and updating its current zoning law, which was adopted back in 2017. 2021, the town board decided it wanted to take a closer look at its zoning regulations and regulations pertaining to two-family dwellings and multifamily dwellings. And the town board at that time enacted a moratorium on two-family and multifamily dwellings so they could study and consider making appropriate zoning law changes. At the same time, the town board also decided it wanted to consider making some more generalized updates and revisions to the zoning law based on concerns of our building department gleaned As you know, the town engaged the services of the LaBerge Group to assist us in studying these issues and helping us in putting together these fairly significant revisions to the 2017 local law. In April of 2022, the proposed revisions to the 2017 zoning law were presented to the town board at a public meeting. All of the proposed revisions were posted on the town's website in advance of the meeting. On May 26, 2022, the proposed introductory local law number 4 of the year 2022 was introduced at a town board meeting, thereby starting the adoption process. It's noteworthy that introductory local law number 4 of 2022 provided for both the proposed changes to the two-family and multifamily zoning regulations, as well as the more general zoning issues. The proposed local law contained a lot of proposed changes to the extent that it was characterized as a repeal and replace of the 2017 zoning law rather than amendment of the 2017 zoning law. So the proposed introductory local law was referred to our county or to the county into our own planning board for review and comment. A public hearing on introductory local law number 4 of the year 2022 was held on July 11, 2022. Various comments were made by the public at the hearing. The town board closed the public hearing that same date, subject to a written comment period which ran through August 1st. Several written comments were received. Since then, as you probably know, the town board is not taking any further formal action as concerns introductory local law number 4 of 2022. Based on further review and consideration in the oral and written comments received from the public, the board appears to be disinclined at this point to move forward with the adoption of introductory local law number 4 of the year 2022. Town board is mindful of the fact that this leaves unaddressed the issue of two-family and multifamily dwelling amendments, which is the issue that started this entire process. For this reason, we, meaning me as town attorney and my colleague, attorney Andrew Gilchrist, who serves as counsel to the planning board, zoning board of appeals, and our legal consultant on zoning and planning matters, were asked to put together a new introductory local law which would be intended to make changes to our 2017 zoning law solely in relation to two-family and multifamily dwellings. And with the assistance of the LaBerge Group, we have done just that. So gentlemen, in your packets, a copy of proposed local law number 6 for the year 2022 appears. It's entitled the local law amending the town of Brunswick zoning law. As I said, this proposed introductory local law seeks to make amendments to the 2017 zoning law pertaining solely to two-family and multifamily dwellings. For that reason, it is much smaller in scope than local law number 4 of 2022, such that it is not a repeal and replace law, rather it is an amendment to an existing law, the existing zoning law. There's really nothing in this new proposed introductory local law, which was not already set forth in introductory local law number 4 of 2022, which has already been reviewed and subject of a public hearing. At this time, I would ask whether there is a board member who wishes to introduce proposed introductory local law number 6 of the year 2022 as described above.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. The next step regarding that local law would be
Set the public hearing.
well, in this particular case, because we have seeker issues. We have a resolution, Mr. Lewis's resolution number 69, 2022. It would declare the town lead agency, direct the referrals to the county and to our planning board, and also schedule a public hearing. Before we get to considering that resolution, we want to agree on a public hearing date so that we can insert it into the resolution before it's voted on.
Time to do that. 6:15 on November 10th.
Do we have to get anything back from the county prior to that?
We do, but normally there's,
Count on that.
usually there's a 30-day mark, so we could probably, I'm hopeful that we get that. So we said November 10,
Yep, 6:15.
That's for public hearing on local law number 6, November 10th, 6:15.
Correct, yep.
All agreed?
Yes.
so now,
So we have the resolution, which goes along with this, Resolution 69, 2022. Resolution declaring secret lead agency, directing referrals of introductory local law number 6 of 2022, and scheduling public hearing, which we have scheduled.
Okay. I'll second.
Resolution was offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Sullivan. Roll call. Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Dosberry absent. Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. That's it for resolutions. Now we have one more local law.
so should I go forward on that one as well?
Yeah, please.
Again, try to explain what's happening. The other new proposed introductory local law I wanted to address tonight pertains to commercial solar collector systems. Let me first state that this town has clearly demonstrated its acknowledgement of the benefits of solar energy and its production, including it being relatively environmentally friendly as compared to other sources of power. To date, three solar collector system facilities have been approved and constructed in our town. Two others have received municipal approvals from us and are to be constructed. Three others are currently undergoing our municipal review. Our local laws are hospitable to commercial zoning, commercial solar collector facilities. These facilities are allowed by special use permit in the A40 district, which comprises well over one half of the town, as well as in the agricultural overlay district, the business light overlay district, and the industrial light and industrial heavy districts. So they are allowed uses in most of the town. Our town has worked with the county and solar developers to come up with a format and standard take rate for pilot agreements for these facilities, as they are generally exempt from real property taxation. We have tried to be flexible. As to one solar project, the town board recently agreed to rezone a small portion of land which was not zoned for these systems, which was adjacent to other land which was properly zoned, so the project could go forward. Recently, however, things have started to change. The payment rate for the pilot agreements which we negotiated with the county and the solar developers no longer appears to be acceptable to the developers. They are seeking a lower rate. Essentially, they want to pay less in pilot payments, which will increase their profits. At the same time, they're paying less will negatively affect the town financially. Additionally, one solar developer, after receiving its municipal approvals from us, including the zone change for a portion of the project, went to the Rensselaer County IDA seeking tax relief without even informing us in advance. If approved, such relief could extend to items such as sales tax on building materials, mortgage, and other recording taxes and fees, all of which the town receives a portion of. It is unknown how such relief might impact pilot agreement payments. All of this may negatively impact the town fiscally as well. Still further, we recently received applications for two commercial solar collector facilities proposed to be entirely located in our R25 residential zoning district. This would require use variances from our zoning board of appeals. This is even in spite of the fact that these facilities are permitted as special permit uses in most of the town. Developers appear to prefer to site these facilities in residential zones in which there is greater infrastructure in place that's facilitating their tying into the grid at lesser costs. Moreover, the solar developer in these cases are demanding that our ZBA apply a more relaxed standard to their use variance applications as opposed to the normal use variance standard, which is very difficult to meet. This potentially makes it easier for the companies to obtain a use variance, and more likely that these facilities end up in places not ordinarily zoned for them, such as residential areas. We note that a recent trial of the New York State Supreme Court decision out of Greene County did endorse the use of the relaxed use variance standard where solar collective facilities are involved. While not binding on our town at this point, this decision is persuasive authority and is troubling from the town's standpoint. For all of these reasons, the town wants to study and consider the zoning and financial impacts on the town, which will likely result if these trends continue, and more of these projects are proposed and more involved efforts to site projects in residential zones. The town needs to develop strategies for dealing with these implications moving forward. Accordingly, we meeting council have been asked to prepare a local law providing for a 12-month moratorium on commercial solar collector facility projects in the town. And we have done so, and it is in your packet. In your package, you'll find a proposed introductory local law number 7 for the year 2022 entitled "The Local Law Establishing the 12-Month Moratorium on the Filing, Acceptance, Review, or Determination of Any Land Use Application Pertaining to Commercial Solar Collector Systems." Does any member of the board wish to introduce introductory local law number 7 of the year 2022?
I'll introduce local law number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. The local law has been introduced. With respect to this one, a moratorium is a type 2 action under seeker, so we don't need a similar resolution to the one that was enacted with respect to the other proposed local law. All we need to do in this particular case is agree on a public hearing date.
6:30. I think we could get that in.
This one you might want to consider having on a separate night because
Yeah.
it involves solar facilities and it may involve some
Attorneys.
attorneys and the public may want to, a lot of the public may have comments on that.
We got Jim to get the calendar, will you?
Todd, do you have a suggested time frame that you would like to see at all? A month away or
That month away, 5
Yeah.
weeks, whatever.
5 weeks? So, 17th, November 17th?
November 17th.
Planning board meeting that night.
What,
The only thing you got open is the fourth Thursday, if you want a Thursday.
Which is Thanksgiving.
That's true.
Oh, Thanksgiving, yeah.
You don't have to do, you don't, doesn't have to.
what time's the planning board meeting start? 7, isn't it? So, the planning board meeting starts at 7.
Planning is at 7 PM, zoning is at 6.
Can we do that on the same day?
How about, like a Tuesday? 15th?
I'm not certain of the board schedule. I would have to check.
Tuesdays are usually okay with
Tuesday,
the court.
November.
Tuesday, yeah, right. 15th.
Tuesday,
November 15th.
15th,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6:30, what is it?
Hmm.
Mark, what's okay with you? 6:30 for work and stuff?
On a Tuesday, 6:15 or after.
Say 6:30 then.
Yeah.
Round it up.
Okay.
So public hearing on the solar facility moratorium on November 15th, Tuesday, 6:30 PM. All agreed?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I think that's everything. We did the resolution, so.
Yep, we're all done with all of that. Yep.
Moratorium on solar might not be popular. maybe not even popular at the county level. Maybe quite sure not popular at the state level. But if you look around, Brunswick's changing pretty rapidly with these solar projects. You haven't seen anything yet. There's a big one proposed, Moon One, the Chesney, is that right? You know, our zoning right now says they're okay to put up in A40 land, which is about 80% of the town, zoning wise. But now they're looking at residential areas. Now we got pressure up above saying you can't say no. And again, we've asked for a pilot that Mr. Christians came up with, and the county kind of adopted, in payment in lieu of taxes. We're saying if you're coming to our town, we want you to, and we're gonna lose tax base, we want you to pay something. And they weren't happy, but they said yes, and now we're getting pressure that maybe those rates are too high. So there's so many questions. I think we just need to take a step back and take a look at things. It's very difficult because, you know, believe it or not, there's still quite a bit of farmland in Brunswick. Farming, of course, tough a little bit, but you know, you got the Wagners and the tar boxes and the Hewitts and our farm and the Hudsons and Trzynski's and Spiaks, and everybody's getting pressured for solar. My brother, myself, nephew, and niece just bought some of Dr. Coletti's land, which is about 200 acres that we rented for 45 years, 100 tillable acres off of Mickle Hill. Beautiful farmland, rented for 45 years. Solar was looking at that. We own a farm up in Scattycook, a couple hundred acres, beautiful sandy loam. And we had to take 45 acres of that in the back, which absolutely broke my heart. And we put that into solar. I think that's the only thing we're gonna put into solar, but we had to do that because I'm 73, my brother's 82. Yes, got a nephew and niece, but when you go to the bank and ask for a 20-year loan, I think I'm gonna be here in 20 years, but I don't think the bank believes me, you know? So we put solar on that. I don't go over that farm anymore. It's just emotional to see that. So I don't wanna lose farmland. I do love the town of Brunswick. I know maybe it doesn't look like it, but down where you live. But I think we need to do this moratorium and take a step back and just take a look at things. I'm quite sure it's not going to be popular. So. Okay. Yeah. Correspondence. Bill, you got any correspondence?
Yeah, we got a few things this time. Yeah. Let's see. We got a nice letter from Joan Casey and her husband, and it says, we both want to thank the highway department for a very nice job with your long run. I think they're talking about the grade all along Joy Lane. It is the best in the 65 years I have lived here. Very much appreciated. And that was from Joan Casey. Now, I don't know.
100 years old, right? Is that the one? Your husband's like 100 years old?
Yeah,
Still looking at the window.
I won't read the whole thing, but this has to do with the petition and the ongoing push by residents along Route 2 for the reduction of the speed along that section from Brunswick into Brunswick Hills. I mean, from Eagle Mills into Brunswick Hills. And we did receive a letter from DOT. They CC'd us. It went to Maureen, who had originally sent the letter. All the neighbors there got together on this, and they had the petition. You all remember that. Well, this is the most recent from Department of Transportation, and it came from Mark Piscadlo, I believe his name is. He's a regional traffic engineer. And he basically, in a nutshell, he said they performed a comprehensive study in 2015, and at that time determined it was not warranted to change. Going on, the Traffic Safety and Mobility Group will initiate another study, but of course they didn't mention the date. And they will respond after the study is complete. So that's all these folks have gotten back yet, but at least they wrote back, and they CC'd that to a few other people, to Ashby and who else, the regional coordinator also. So at least they're getting them getting heard. And we had one other thing.
Yeah, that was a petition that the people, Jim and his wife, worked on very hard, went door to door over Route 2. There's been a lot of accident. What happens over there that you don't see here is all the Valenti trucks, all the heavy trucks out of the quarry, they all run Route 2. And very, very dangerous. So they did a lot of work, got a lot of petition signed, sent it in. Jake Ashby got behind it. And then they sent us a letter saying basically, yeah, we'll take a look at it. But when we looked at the same section back in 2015, we thought 55 was okay. So that's the feedback I get every time from the state. If I'm talking about Route 7, or if I'm talking about Route 2, that's the feedback. And I don't know if you've noticed, Senator Bruno's not with us anymore. I used to be able to go up to his house and say, Joe, and that did help. But we don't have the darn connections anymore, so. Go ahead.
Okay, this one's a little lengthy, so we'll get through it. This one's from Betty Fucci. Okay.
Betty?
Finally.
This be the end of it.
No, and God bless her. Finally took care of the water problem. Mike was down there with the crew. So, hi Phil, I'm texting. This was a text. She couldn't be here. She wanted to be here in person, couldn't make it. Hi Phil, I'm texting to let you know how pleased and relieved I am now regarding the water drainage issues on my property. Your highway crew, headed by Mike Bailey, did an outstanding job. They piped and thoroughly covered the ditch along my front yard. They also laid grass, seed, and hay on the repaired section as well as along the ditch they created on my property across from my house, which will carry the water down the street to the town culvert. I can't wait till the spring, maybe sooner, to have my front yard back with grass. And I can now walk from my house property to the road without having to jump or make my way across the ditch. I'm very impressed with the quality of the work your crew did. Stellar job. Thanks for making this happen. And of course, please thank Mr. Bailey and the work crew for doing such a wonderful job. I thoroughly appreciate it and finally at peace with the situation.
Again, Betty came here a long, long time to meetings, and I had some gentlemen watch it on TV calling screaming at me because when I'm taking care of a senior citizen, me being one of them.
There's a little.
But anyway, Betty.
There's a little more to it.
You gonna read the rest of it too?
Yeah, it's just one little.
Okay.
Certainly, I did thank Mr. Bailey. That's how the town site spelled his name. She was worried about spelling your name correctly. In person, but he seemed disappointed that I can't make this week's meeting. I also asked Jen to present my thanks at the meeting as well, which she mentioned earlier. They really did an excellent job. Mr. Bailey knew just how to divert the water into the ditch on my property across from my house, so that it runs along the ditch to the culvert on Woodward instead of swamping the land. Thanks again, Phil. That's it.
I went down there and I couldn't figure out and we looked at it, and Mr. Bailey went down. And I will say he's new in this position, and he banged on her door and said, Debbie, get out here. I want to know exactly what to do. I work for you. You pay my salary. I like that mentality. And Mike and the crew put a couple pipes in, they covered it, they put topsoil, they put grass seed, they diverted across the street and then dug ditches. So that was an effort. Not by me, but she's very, very, very happy. So thank you. All right, my friend. You done yet?
That's it for correspondence. Yep.
Old business? Getting late, so. New business? Anybody? Warrants?
Make a motion, we pay our bills. I'll second it.
All in favor? Any further comments? I know the chairs are awful. I don't know why we didn't put a cushion in that thing.
Sorry, it's one thing, I'm not with this only.
I know something. Yeah, grab that thing.
All right, so Jason there, before we move to the main, just a little quick backstory. I was raised in Menlo Park, moved to Albany at Second and Bertha. I'm only telling you this because you're going to understand in a second. Drugs going back and forth, Second and Bertha on my house would be like turning the lights on in my house. I'd see it all the time. No big deal.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I used to live at Second and Bertha in Albany.
Yeah.
And you could see a drug deal go on, like turning the light switch on in your house all the time. It was like nothing. I moved my mom to Fur Park View. Can anybody tell me, does Troy own that or does Brunswick own that?
That's Brunswick. That's right on the edge.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you this, that living at Second and Bertha, is like living outside my mom's house. It happens all the time.
Up where you are now?
Yeah, all the time.
No, where your mother.
Where my mother is.
Oh, your mother.
To the point where last night, she called me because she was sitting on her front porch. And the girls' RPI team ran by, and there were two gentlemen outside of her house that were harassing these girls as they were walking by, and then tried to harass her while she was sitting on her porch. I tried calling Troy PD, they want nothing to do with it, it's not theirs. I called Rensselaer County, it's not ours, we don't want it, it's not ours, we're not gonna touch it. So I don't know whose it is, or if you guys can figure that out and maybe make a phone call, but somebody's gotta do something about that. Because it happens, I'm not kidding you, I could walk up there right now, I could sit on the front porch, and in 10 minutes of sitting there, I could probably see two drug dealers.
Freer Park?
For Parkview. Huh. Yeah, I know right where that is. It overlooks, Sixth Hole or something.
I won't tell you where she lives, but she lives very close to the hole.
Okay.
So, and I only mention that because I realize that this stuff is happening more and more and more.
I know.
But if we don't put a stop to this, it's gonna get into other neighborhoods, and no police agency that I've called wants to touch this. So nobody will admit that it's theirs.
Doesn't seem, doesn't seem.
Brunswick Trooper Barracks?
They won't touch it because it's not theirs.
Of course it is.
They said it's Rensselaer County Sheriff or it's Troy PD, and neither one of them will touch it. Interestingly enough, there's a Troy PD sergeant that drives up and down that street all the time, but he won't do anything about it.
You do know there's you do understand there's a New York State Police. You understand, I understand it, so I don't know what to say.
I used to work with the troopers all the time, so
I don't wanna say too much, I'll get stopped on the way home, you know?
I believe that they won't do anything about it, but they say, oh, you gotta call Troy, you gotta call. Actually, first of all, they told me that it depends on what side of the street you're on. If you're on the golf course side, it's Troy PD, and if you're on the other side, the house where the houses are, that's Rensselaer County Sheriff.
That's probably.
Pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate.
That may be true, very true.
Yeah. No,
All right, well, I know this was a long meeting, I appreciate all the comments. Let's see, as we move ahead. Anybody else? Entertain a motion, well, Jim, almost got in, taking once, taking twice, so.
Jim Tashik, 387 Brunswick Road. I have a suggestion to make. I can't go back to Gordy's request, make it better now, all right? But Gordy was on the comprehensive plan committee with myself, for example, and in the comprehensive plan, which was done in 2013 maybe, again, approximately 2013, there was a focus, one of the focus for the Hoosick Street study and improvement. This is 9 years ago. This is when that traffic study should have been done, or this study that was going to be done with the help of the grant. Okay, that's one bit of it. The other thing is, I'm amazed that these people are fortune tellers. They can tell the future, right? Because I don't know any of these people individually, but I was at the planning board public hearings, and every one of these complaints that they're making tonight, they made then. And that was before the project was approved. Mm-hmm. There has to be better. Was anybody in the town board at that public hearing? I think there has to be some sort of interaction between the planning board and the town board. Otherwise, you're missing a lot of information. I'm not saying to go there on every shed, lot line adjustment, this kind of stuff. But the big projects, you people have to get aware of the problems. And this is the way you get ahead of this, is listening to the people. These people anticipated all these problems, right? That's it. That's the long and the short of it. Huh? That's it. Thank you.
I used to go to those meetings, you know what happened? Everybody would turn around and start yelling at me. So it got crazy. One thing we did do, we took the planning and zoning board and put the same attorney on both of those, so there's coordination there. So. All right, did I get a motion to adjourn? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second? Gordy, all in favor? Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.